As I hung by my neck, gently swinging side to side in the darkened room, I couldn't help but feel that my life had been something of a farce up to this point. An endless parade of nonsensical events marching past me, taunting me to just give her down. When you're strung up by a man you shot between the eyes with a .38 revolver not 5 minutes earlier, you begin to wonder if there really is any reality to accompany the poetry. As my vision began to fade and euphoria washed over my body from lack of oxygen to my brain, all I could think about was how I got here, and not how I could get out. When you start your day still in your clothes from the night before, being jerked awake by a blend of nightmares and the phone ringing on your desk, things are never immediately clear. The line between the dream and the cold light of day is blurred somewhat by the incessance of the telephone. McCarthy. I hadn't had a case in weeks. The headlines after my previous job saw to that. Where are you? The young woman on the end of the line sounded breathy and seductive. And just a little terrified. I'll be 20 minutes. She'd asked to meet me in a small church across town. I knew the place. Been abandoned for quite a while. The gang activity in the area was maybe too much for the preacher. I guess even God can be convinced with a kind word and a blood-stained baseball bat. I arrived with all the bravado of a comic book hero, and none of the talent. Christ. She was dead when I got there. Crimson fluid snaked around the altar to which she was tied, glimmering in the moonlight. Still warm. No wonder she was terrified. Shit! I couldn't be found in a church with a still warm corpse. I had to get out of there. Blood is stickier than you might think. An old matchbook, how beautifully cliché. It's from the Grosvenor Hotel. I don't think burning her would help my investigation or mental state. I need to take a look at this hotel. The Grosvenor Hotel hadn't been accepting guests for years. It was part of a huge estate just outside the city. It used to be a manor house before it was a hotel. I guess the uptake of a big house like that isn't cheap. I pulled up the driveway to be greeted by nothing more than a sense of foreboding and the smell of damp in the air. Never know when you might need some worthless stone chippings. I can see the light of a candle, but not much else. I think someone's up there. Worth a try. Even in the dank midnight air, her voice carried on the wind like butterflies. Good evening. I'd like to speak to the head of the house.
Of course, sir. Unlock the main door for you.
Thank you, miss. My heart pounded as her voice ricocheted around inside my head. The house was eerie and empty-sounding. The young girl looked at me expectantly.
Will you be staying with us this evening, sir?
I couldn't imagine sleeping in this god-forsaken place. But I couldn't imagine leaving this girl behind. I'm not sure yet, miss.
Mr. Grosvenor is in the drawing room. Whenever you're ready, Mr.
McCarthy. A glimmer of recognition flashed across her ivory face, but she didn't say anything.
Well, my name's Sarah. Sarah Mackenzie. Pleasure to meet you, Mr. McCarthy.
I will take you with me, Sarah Mackenzie. Wherever I go, I will take you with me. The drawing room was cold and desolate, despite the embers smouldering in the hearth. A skinny, gaunt man, no older than mid-20s, stood in vain trying to warm himself by the fire. I assumed this to be Grosvenor. I should introduce myself.
Good evening. Is there something I can help you with?
My name's Rick McCarthy. I'm a private investigator working for a potential client. Do you have a moment for a few questions? My client was dead.
McCarthy? Yes, what would you like to know?
How's business?
Well, only Sarah and...
Anything unusual happen in the last few days?
In fact, the other guest.
That's all I need for now.
Don't mention it, sir. Will you be staying? The weather is...
Thank you. It seemed very possible. I thought it would be one. My car's tires have been... It seems someone is intent. That doesn't seem... Never know when you might need some worthless stone chippings. Apparently...
Oh?
It seems someone has slashed my tires.
How awful! This is not the first time this has happened, though. I suspect wolves.
The idea of wolves tearing at my tires struck me as suspicious. Wolves?
Indeed. There has been the odd sighting on the estate over the last few months.
I see.
Well, at any rate, please accept lodgings for the night. Or indeed as long as you need. Free of charge.
That's very kind of you, Mr. Grosvenor.
Please, call me Michael. Speak to Sarah, and she will prepare a room for you. Also, feel free to wander the house, with the exception of the west wing, of course. I'm afraid it's currently closed for refurbishment.
Thanks, I'll speak to Sarah about my room.
Did you forget something, Mr. McCarthy?
It seems someone or something has sabotaged my car, miss. So I will be staying the night.
Oh, how terrible. Luckily, one of the rooms is available. Here's the key. It's up the stairs and last door on the right.
Thank you.
Oh, and Mr. McCarthy? Be careful.
Careful?
I hear things at night. In the walls.
What kinds of things?
Scratching.
Well, I always have my revolver, miss. I'm sure I'll be okay. I've had it for 6 years. I've fired it once. Thank you for your help. My room was a simple affair, and yet I couldn't help. I'd really like to hear what Victoria saw of these wolves before I go to sleep. The bar was a simple affair. An acrid smell of stale cigarette smoke and spilt champagne from years long since past hung over my head like a cloud. A young woman stood at the bar, drink in hand. She watched me intently as a predator watches its prey. This was Victoria.
Well, good evening. Fresh blood is always welcome.
Victoria, I presume.
Victoria Renton.
Rick McCarthy.
Ah, we have someone famous among us.
Infamous, perhaps.
Well, I always preferred infamy. Better the devil, you know.
Do you mind if I ask you some questions?
Please do.
Mr. Grosvenor mentioned that you may have seen wolves on the estate.
If that's what he wishes to call them.
You disagree?
Well, it was dark, but the way they moved was
Her eyes moved ever so slightly to the floor.
frightening.
That's all I want.
Anytime. Can I
She looked at me. Thank you for the...
Carpe
Seize the night.
before we...
Her words. Another night.
Well,
I take the largest of the blades. I don't like. Some... Nothing can wash away the sins that taint me. That doesn't seem to work. I'll try and get some sleep. I found it difficult to sleep. My mind swam with questions. Who slashed my tires, and why do they want to keep me here? As I began to drift off to sleep, I was jerked back to reality by the sound of screaming. I jumped to my feet and grabbed my revolver. Sarah!
Help!
It's locked. I'll break it down. A large dog-like creature stood on the bed, its blood-red eyes trained on Sarah. Its teeth were longer than a dog's and stained a rich crimson.
Do something!
I drew my gun and aimed for its head. My finger hovered tentatively over the trigger. What if I hit someone again? My arm shook as I tightened my grip on the trigger. I couldn't do it. The beast turned its attention to me. It looked me deep and it was and then it was gone. I loosened my grip and my gun fell to the floor.
What?
I'm not
I don't know. Must have been.
She dropped.
Thank.
I'm not sure why.
It's so. I'll sleep.
I need to, though it may. I woke late. The winter's leaving.
Can I help you?
How are you?
I'm still. How is you?
How do you know?
I know you must.
I should, of course.
I.
Hurrah.
It was
Why?
terrible. I went.
What terrible.
He and he.
But
No.
thanks for your help. It's Sarah's room. I poured some of the oil over the rails to lubricate it. I managed to wrench the door. A wire coat hanger.